Hi everyone, I'm back today to talk about yogas again. So today I'm going to speak about a yoga known as Kaal Sarp yoga. Kaal essentially means time and Sarp means serpent. So we're talking about something that would be translated as the Serpent of Time. This is considered to be quite a dreadful yoga by most astrologers. And there's a lot of fear created around it. But one thing to note, and I think this is a very important thing to understand, is that it is not mentioned at all in the classics, in Parasara, or any of the other classic texts. It doesn't mention it at all. So essentially it is a creation of a modern era. Some people think that it was created to perpetuate fear. But I'm going to discuss it further, and we will talk about how it manifests and whether or not there is something to worry about if it shows up in your chart. So essentially, what is it? So basically, what it is when the planets are situated between the nodes Rahu and Ketu. So all of the planets in your chart must be between Rahu and Ketu. There should be no planet conjunct with either Rahu or Ketu, and for it to be a Kaal Sarp yoga, Rahu has to be on the upper end of it so that the planets are getting eaten by Rahu, actually, essentially what it boils down to. If, however, Ketu is on the upper end, then it's actually known as what's called the Kaal Amrit yoga, and that has a different connotation altogether, and we'll talk about that. So now, essentially, what happens is when you think about this yoga showing up in a chart or even in mundane astrology, you have to see whether or not the person is going through the dasha of Rahu and Ketu first of all, because that's going to determine how it's going to impact them. And my belief is, and this is something that I've seen with experience as well, is that in a personal chart, Rahu and Ketu showing up like this, where all the planets are in between them, and you see the manifestation of the Kaal Sarp yoga, or you see the manifestation of the Kaal Amrit yoga. Now, my personal belief is that in a chart, this actually just manifests as insecurity, as sort of a psychological issues and psychological perhaps instability in the person's mind, because as you recall, Rahu and Ketu are not physical planets, they're nodes. And so how it's going to affect a person is going to be on more of a psychological level than a material level. Now, I want to quote something from B.B. Raman, who actually speaks about this yoga, and he's got more of a positive outlook on it. So basically, he says that Kaal Sarp yoga has its bright shades. It is said to make one industrious, hardworking, aware of one's own ability despite mental restlessness. So he does make a note that mental restlessness, or the psychological instability that I spoke about, that does show up in a person's chart. However, they can often make something positive out of it, and I notice that this happens later in life when Rahu and Ketu mature. So for Rahu around the age of 42, for Ketu around the age of 48, and then this becomes a lot more easier to handle, and also to reap the positive benefits of the yoga. So he goes on to state, it raises the natives to top positions in their respective fields, provided of course other Raj yogas are present. So you have to see the whole chart, see where Rahu Ketu are placed, how are they interacting with other planets, and whether you're experiencing the dasha to see the manifestation of these good results. So according to him, if it's the Kaal Sarp yoga, which is on the Rahu Ketu axis, it favors your life in certain mundane affairs, as we just spoke about. On the other hand, if it's on the Ketu Rahu axis, where Ketu is on the upper end, then it will favor spiritual elevation. So there are some benefits for this yoga, but you probably won't feel the benefits until later in life, because again, as I suggested, the yoga in a personal chart has a tendency to create some kind of a restlessness, some kind of an instability in the mind, because it does affect your mind. After all, if it's the node of the moon, and so if it's controlling the chart from the standpoint of having all the planets within it, then you will feel that sense of restlessness. And you might also feel a sense of fatedness. That's also something I've seen. When you have this kind of condition in your chart, you feel that you have less free will in life, and life is just sort of taking you places, and rather than you controlling it yourself, you are being controlled by it. So again, Rahu and Ketu have that effect on a person's psyche, and particularly if you're going through either Rahu or Ketu's dasha, or you might be going through a dasha of a planet that is situated with Rahu or Ketu, then you will definitely feel the effects of it. But as I said, later down in life, when the planets mature, you will have learned to deal with it, and you will actually have also learned to manifest the more positive effects of the yoga. So yes, so I hope you found this helpful. Again, please subscribe below, and if you have any comments or questions, feel free to write them below as well. I will do my best to answer.